Welcome back to the channel, people. Today we'll be talking about this book, which is Engineer's Notebook. I don't really break down books online, but this book, if you're a mechanical engineer, which I have been for some years, I've also been putting up some videos, which has been 72 hours working as a mechanical engineer on my channel, so definitely check those videos out. And before I go on with this video, you know my vibe, just subscribe. I thought about it off the top of my head. I thought that was quite good, actually. Anyway, back to the vid, right? This book has been like a staple piece when it comes to me understanding information when it comes to building services as a mechanical engineer, because that's the roles I generally get when it comes to like 9-to-5 work, which is okay with me, because anything mechanical, you should have an understanding how to do it if your first trade is plumbing. And that is my first trade. So being mechanically biased or having a good understanding about how to do stuff, this book has definitely helped. It itemizes a lot of plant which you're going to have inside most building setups. So I've worked in colleges, I've worked in hospitals, I've worked in universities, and I've worked in like public buildings as well. So that's a good understanding where you're going to find these things. And if there's like a communal block or something like that, sometimes they have pumps, they have a main boiler and stuff like that. So there's a lot of other things which people don't see, which maintenance people have to take care of. So maintenance, building services, you know, that's the kind of title which I'm talking about at the moment. So if you fall under any of those things, this book's going to be a goat for you. It's a limited edition book, yeah, but I will say, if you have like vague knowledge about shit just when it comes to work, yeah, this is the book for you, trust me. Because you could point stuff out but not understand what it does, right? There are many people inside the workplace, when you speak to them about what the ROR plant does or what the hot weld does, their understanding of it is vague. It's vague to the degree where someone else told them what it does. So therefore, they're not really sure, because the information which could have been passed could have not been correct or been precise. Again, we have these problems. It's like Chinese whispers inside the workplace. Someone will tell you something, and if you don't research it up yourself, guess what? You will take it to gospel, and you'll probably tell someone on your Sunday church when you're sitting down, guess what I learned? I do this and I do that. Oh, when did you do a course? No, someone told me. Sorry? Yeah, that's how I like to start this video off, innit? So just make sure you're locked in, innit? Because I'm going to let you know from now, this video is going to be a little bit, because it's just to do with my experience with this book, and also my experience when it comes to sites as well, because I've made a few videos working 72 hours as a mechanical engineer on site. It's not always been the funnest videos, but I've had the most entertaining conversations with people who actually work on these sites, because some of them chat so much bullshit, they don't know what they're talking about. And when you bring it back to facts and say, oh, okay, but the book says this, or the internet says this, how is that true? It's relieving to know that someone knows what they're talking about, and it's concerning to know that a lot of people don't give a fuck or care to that degree. But hey, they're themselves. You can be yourself too. So aircon systems is one of the first sections for the book. When you figure out how to get this book, or if you can get your hands on it, skim through it and read, because there's a lot of things which you will see in the book which you may come across at some point. Like, I've worked and I've been in office spaces where there've been chilled beam systems, and that's how they heat up the area. And I would have kind of not really understood this too much if I didn't see it frequently, but yet want to understand it. So again, you got to be a little bit on that frequency to understand how these things work, because again, there's got to be a point of interest for yourself, innit? The next bit is like close, controlled ACs. Yeah, so it shows you a few different ones of those, and I can think of a perfect example where I found something like this, which was, I used to work in an office space for I used to work in an office space for Legal and General, and they used to have some of these inside some of their server rooms and stuff like that. So yeah, I've seen some of this stuff. It's just picturing sometimes where you find it. AC and cooling systems. Yeah, so a lot of office spaces will have AC because it's just necessary, because people need to be cool in it inside an office space. You get a lot of PCs what let off a lot of heat and stuff like that. These are the times and the places where you're going to find these things. So there's a lot of different areas when it comes to building services, which I think people sometimes specialize in, and there's others who hold back information, innit? And information is out there. I think it's just you as an individual, if you want to try and explore that for yourself. I feel that it's always made my working life a lot easier, because if somebody asks me something, I could speak with confidence, but allow them to know that, okay, I know this much. So if you're asking me something else, I'm going to be open and be like, I don't know. But if you give me a minute, I'll research it and I'll try and find the answers for you, if it matters that much. So moving on with the book, yeah, we've got, I'm not going to try and touch in on every single one, yeah, but like heating pumps, yeah, we've got heating pumps, GHP or VRF systems. Yeah, so a lot of us might come across these types of units. I think I've seen about 3 or 4 on a roof space, and that's where you'd normally find these units. They're not going to be like, some of them, the first ones, what I said, the VRFs are going to be outside. I've seen them on a site before, and it explains, and I'm going to turn the book to you for a second, explains to you how they work. So like, they've got fans on the top which they suck in air from the side, and the compressor and the gas is kept underneath. I'm going to show you a picture. Let's try to zoom it. 1 second. So this is the picture what I'm talking about. Hopefully it's showing on the screen as clear as possible. Right. So yeah, it makes really sense of a lot of stuff what you might see and not understand. Sorry about that. Makes sense of some of the stuff you might see and not understand. So what that brings me to is just the whole understanding of opening up and being open inside a workplace, and understanding that a lot of buildings are set up in different ways. Yes, they're supposed to be set up energy efficient, but when people get all of this plant, whether it be the building manager or the building company that build this stuff, do they know how to run it, or do they know how to look after it? I don't think so all the time. I don't think so, because maintaining a lot of this stuff takes a lot of service, innit? And if your servicing is not on time and frequently, you can get problems, innit? This book, I'm not sure how old this book is. I was trying to look before I started. Oh, it's from 2011 till 2012. So I don't know if that's, I don't know if you can see there. So there's the year, just there, right? That's the year of the book. So I gather there's a new one out, obviously. But this book has even got things like air source and ground source heat, VRFs, aircon, yeah? So that will give you heating and air source, which everyone goes on about, ground source air pumps. So I've always thought this book was super advanced from before. Talks about some of the Mitsubishi units as well when it comes to the air source heat pumps, and breaks down a whole load of information what I've not even read too much, but it's to do with renewable sources, which That's what heat pumps come underneath and stuff like that. But it's a great way to always read up and just get an understanding about what you're doing, you know, because I've worked in properties before, yeah, and they had ground source heat pumps. And when I wanted to make a video about it and understand a little bit more, I only found out, I know what I only can remember is there's only 2 services a year, yeah, because I wanted to see if it was cost effective for people to run these things in their properties and stuff like that. And it was more on the long-term return when it came to owning something like that. I'm quite sure if I'm right. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comment section below. IT cooling, so data racks and stuff like that. If you've worked in any data centers, they cover a section on here. I've worked in a data center before and how critical that is, obviously, because they've got that type of stuff there. Underfloor cooling systems, yeah, so it's like a tray system which they've got a gap in between the floor and the air, I think, travels underneath. Tell me if I'm wrong again, innit? I might be, but I might have just read it for you out of this book. So again, we've got important things which you're gonna find in this book, which is kitchen ventilation, yeah. I've been asked this question a few times when I've worked in places which have had an upstairs kitchen and stuff like that. Sometimes people ask you the weirdest questions when you're at work, yeah, but when you don't have the answers, yeah, you're always umming and ahhing. Trust me, I've been there, I've done it before. So I'm trying to help people get out of that mode of not knowing but not even giving a fuck, if you get what I mean. Just try and be a better person, innit? I'm not saying you're going to be a better person by knowing more things, yeah. By being a better person, you have to start, you know, praying and all that stuff and being within. But we're getting sidetracked, guys. We've got the different air dampers and diffusers, yeah. So we've got smoke dampers. We've got, I'm just going to show you because it's easier. So it diagrams them out on how they look, and it writes a little section on all of them. This is why I'm telling you, this book, it's different. It's different. Even I forget how much stuff is in this book, and I should really spend more time reading through it. But me, at times, I'm actually on the site going through it, innit? And a lot of this information is on the internet, but it's how precise it is for what you want. So if any of you lot have worked in any buildings, yeah, they have something which is called a BMS system, yeah. So it's building management system. That's what it is, yeah. And sometimes there's a big company, not sometimes, there is a big company called Trend. A lot of people might have heard it, they might have used it before. I wasn't always the savviest when it came to using the BMS, yeah, but most systems are quite basic and don't have the capability to do the things what you want to do, because I think when a lot of buildings buy these systems, they buy the basic version, they buy the cheapest version what they can for themselves, because the programs are expensive. I don't know how much, but I've worked with and worked alongside BMS engineers before, and when they've told me, like, let's say we've got an area and it's got fan coils on it, right? So the fan coils are on one level. Let's just say the BMS computer is downstairs or in a place where it doesn't matter where it is, it's just in a place. You can control those fan coils from that computer. You can tell it to turn on, you could tell that a certain area to turn off because people complain about being cold, and that is the generic thing which we kind of use those systems for inside buildings. People complaining about saying they're too cold, too warm. But if there is a comfort zone, which might be 22, 23, that's the set limit, innit? So you only go up 2 degrees or 3 degrees, or 3 degrees each way. I'm not sure. It just depends on the band. I think it's called the bandwidth or something like that. Of the temperature, whatever people call it nowadays, but it's just a set temperature for that building, and you only go I would say 3 or 4 degrees each way, depending on the weather, innit? And it depends a lot on what's going on outside, innit? Because I think when it's cold, like it's a wet day right now when I'm filming it, people would say that they want to feel warm when they come inside a building, right? But it's not your house, innit? Anyway, let's just move on. But what I do want to say before I say that, when I was working with a BMS engineer, is that when I was working with this guy, yeah, he told me that they oftenly come in to change sensors. They oftenly come in to obviously change like units and whatnot responding to the BMS. So it might be a control. And I used to change these actuators which sit on the end of a bit of pipe work which goes to a unit which tells it to turn on, turn off. It's just a pin, obviously, a motorized thing which goes up and goes down. Let's keep it simple for everyone. And he told me that they used to charge 200 quid just to change them. And I told him, do you know what? I've changed about, in a week, I would change about 8 or 9. I'm not getting that type of money. And he's like, you could do this. Gave me an idea. Gave me an idea. So, grills, diffusers, and that type of business. We've got some more diagrams about these, because you will find these a lot in buildings. You know, they're just there, grids and all of that stuff. What else have we got? So we've got, yes, I am going to take that bit out, but I'm going to leave it in. Yeah, let's go again. So we've got, because I was going so well, innit? So we've got air filters, yeah, which are important because they come in these little baskets. I don't know if you guys have seen them. Let me just flip the thing. You might have seen them and then just not known what the hell they were. So that's that. We've also got fans, and we've got AHUs. Yeah, AHUs is one of the most common things that I be working on when it comes to sites, because it's a maintenance thing, and I think that a lot of places don't maintain them in the way they should. I've only seen over the years, and I've worked on them for, I would say, about 9 years or so, maybe a bit longer, yeah. I've only seen like one site actually have a deep clean. One site out of 25 sites. I actually got a infection in my eye one time when I was working in a hospital from a air handling unit. You know, I was doing some filter changes, which just like, you know, should be done anyway. I think something just flew into my eye. I couldn't believe it. So health and safety, guys, don't think when you're up there just changing those filters, it's just throwing them around and all that, because there's a lot of dust, dirt, debris, there's nastiness inside there. Do you know what I mean? Like, and most people just never have them deep clean. They never have them clean, full stop. You know, like, go inside there wearing their boots and all types of stuff. Bits can fly off your boots, and yeah, just think about what you're doing, innit? Let's move on. So we've got smoke control and fan coils, right? So oftenly we're going to find some fan coils inside our air handling units, yeah? Is that right? Air handling units? Yes. Actuators as well, which is a thing which we look at a lot of the time. They're like got this orange thing on it, like this orange clamp. I'll show you. That's what they look like. Hopefully you guys can see. My point is that my point is that this book has got so many gems in it that if you passed it up or said to yourself, this is not something that you need, I don't know if we're doing the same types of jobs. I get it that some of us are, you know, not so interested in what we're doing, right? And it's hard to stay focused on a task, like, and obviously being interested in it as well. I haven't always been as interested in my career as I've been of now, basically. But I've realised what are the traits, what are making someone a good engineer, and some of the bad things which allow people to like stray from understanding more knowledge or having it even first or want to do it. Yeah. So it's not a hard place, because when you're very knowledgeable about what you're doing, you can take a lot more responsibility, therefore you can make more money. And I've realized that myself when I've decided to have a better understanding about building services and most of the plant, what we do have, understanding how it works, being able to fix it and repair it if something goes wrong. It's allowed people to take me more seriously in the workplace, but obviously it's allowed me to grow up on the ranks. So I might be the mechanical engineer on site, but I'm the supervisor on site for the site now, because I've got the experience, I've got the knowledge. I don't know if this book has got cooling towers in it, but I've never actually looked actually, but I've actually worked on cooling towers a few times, and that information I actually didn't get from this book. I actually got from a gentleman who I met, I think it's BA or BA, something to do with BA, something like that. I remember it was time ago, because he actually told me one of the gems of working as a mechanical engineer or working as an engineer in general. It's the people you get to meet. The people you get to meet are very particular when it comes to this type of job, because they have a good understanding of how things work. Yeah. And I say that because when you meet a really good engineer, it's like a eureka, wow moment. And people who know their stuff, they know what to do in most cases, you know, and they could probably guide you what to do over the phone. But it's not often that those people have an apprentice or someone else with them, so that knowledge doesn't always get shared and passed along. I'm gonna have to make another video about this book, yeah, because there's stuff what I'm seeing now which I definitely do want to talk about, but I think I should break it down a lot better. But I just want you to understand that there's pretty much everything in this book. My eyes are opening as I'm doing this. So you heard me speak about at the beginning about the aircon systems, yeah? And to have a schematic drawing which lays out aircon systems, tubing, just how it all works is a great thing to see if you're an engineer, because you don't see things from the core basis on how things get set up. And it brings me to a point, but let me just show you this photo, this picture what I'm talking about. Right, this is the drawing. Have a look at that. Tell me that that's not cool to be able to see, to be able to work out how things work. This is all knowledge, man. So it will tell you where your air handling units are. It will tell you where your chilled pumps should be. And it's just got a schematic system and your fan coils and stuff like that. So yeah, perfect stuff, man. Again, my eyes are just, this is my own book. I should read it more, seriously. I will kill the internet. Anyway, I am going to start reading it more and make some in detailed videos. But I just wanted to make this icebreaker video just to let you guys understand, because there are many tradespeople who are working in the industry that are experienced but not open to learning. You know, I work with a lot of electricians that will never do a plumbing job because it's plumbing and it's water. I get that you might not feel competent, and this is just not a dig at electricians. This is, I'm just turning up my light. This is not a dig at electricians. This is just a normal observation by me. Don't be that engineer that says that you're not willing to go with another engineer to find something out, to just further your knowledge about something you don't know about, because that's the truth. Think about ways how people do stuff. And when I work with engineers, I worked with an electrician not too long ago. There was a problem where there was no power somewhere, and it was like 3 fuse boards what feed a small Schneider board, yeah? And I'm not an electrician by trade. I have electrician friends. I was going to ask my friend, but I went on to ChatGPT and I gave them the scenario, and we worked out what could be the problems. When I went in the next day, I was obviously ready to start sorting out that thing. But some people, they just shove a job to the side sometimes and, don't worry about it, someone else sort it out. All right, cool. But I like to have that knowledge. So if I did go back or someone asks me about it, which at some points, some people do ask me stuff because they feel like I'm going to be knowledgeable on everything. But there's some times when I purposely don't take the time out to go and find out. But that situation, I definitely wanted to find out just for myself. It wasn't for the like, wanting to be a know-it-all or walking around with like that type of thing. Nah, I know that the type of person I am and the type of personality I have, people can get me misconstrued when I want to further my own knowledge. Do you get it? Or why do you want to feel like you're a know-it-all? Because I want to know for myself. It's only my personal. I don't have to tell you why when I know at the end, but I find it satisfying to understand certain things. You know, I don't know how everything works. I'm not a car person, so I love cars, but lifting the hood of a car and trying to look for the problem or something. If it was obvious, I'd be able to burst pipe. Yeah, I'd be obviously see it. But if you was to say that, do you know where this is? Know where that is? No, I'd need a drawing. I'd need to have a good understanding. That's what type of person I am. So yes, with things which I don't understand, I'm gonna try and further my knowledge with that and be better when it comes to delivering, when it comes to understanding, but also more opening to being a person who's learning. Yeah, and this is what this kind of video is based upon. Like, a lot of man, even gal, they don't really want to learn nothing after you get to a certain age. It gets boring for you. It gets tedious. It becomes like a chore. But for some of us who experience these times, like, life is just getting harder for probably all like engineers that probably work inside buildings. You're gonna get a different fluctuation of people come through. I think at times there is more lazier people coming through now, but it just depends on where you are. You know, like, people are lazy to just care to give a fuck about if we're going to go back to that job. I'm not going back to that job. It's not our job anymore. We're going to give it to someone else. Understand. These things happen sometimes. I was working a shift at this point. So yeah, that could happen. And it was at the end of my shift as well. But I knew I was going to be in the next day. So I knew that could be a conversation which would pop up. And having an answer instead of not having an answer made way more sense, you know. Like, the fact that I care, I just see that as a point of me growing as in my career. Because when I feel passionate about it, innit? I feel passionate about learning some of the things. Because again, if I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. I will definitely ask that other person who is an electrician, but sometimes when people don't want to talk about the job what they go to is because they're still trying to figure it out themselves. I feel that person was trying to figure it out. No badness to them, because how are they to really know? They just came there like myself, but they are electrician, but it doesn't mean anything, can it? Do you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm gonna end this with, this is part 1. I'm going to come back with a proper breakdown of part 2, and hopefully you guys will enjoy it. This is a different bit of content for me, but I think it's an important one because I think people want to grow on my channel. So how we're going to grow is we're going to go back to the things what I fucking learned from. I learned from these types of books. You know, I used to carry these books around more than what I do now today, but it doesn't mean that I can't pick it up. That's the truth. Story of this video is, if you're an engineer out there, at least have 1 or 2 books. You know, if you've been an engineer for 5 years, you know, you got all these other magazines, Playboy and all this type of stuff. Where's your book? Like and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one, guys. And girls as well. Don't want to be in bad guys in my thing as well. See you later, man.